What's going on, guys? This is Illegal Defense, episode 13 for our NFL segment. We're gonna get straight into it with the Ravens Jaguars games. The Ravens came up short, 27-28 at Jacksonville. They kind of made a last minute 2 point conversion. I think Doug Peterson just wanted to, make a statement win and just let it ride and just let what's his face, Trevor Lawrence, go to work. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was tough to watch. Justin Tucker ended up missing I think it was like a 67-yard field goal. I don't know. I think yeah, it was a 67-yard field goal. And Ravens come up short, Jags come out on top. And what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when this game was coming down to the wire, the Ravens had to climb back into it, which they did. Um, but yeah, the Jags were just able to kind of match them and score a late touchdown, and they converted that 2 point conversion to win the game. And yeah, props to Doug Peterson for that type of play calling, that aggressive style of his, and Trevor Lawrence being able to execute. Tough loss for the Ravens. I mean, they've had their fair share of things not go their way this season, and this just kind of continues. Luckily for the Ravens, they're a good enough team where they have weeks where they look bad and they're still able to win. This wasn't one of those weeks, so for them it's tough as we get later in the year. These wins become more and more harder to grab. They're going to have to find a way to kind of get the wins necessary to get into the postseason. And there's fewer and fewer of them to be had now. If you're the Jags, solid win. They were at home. They get the win at home. You get to see a little bit of the how the Jags can hurt you with this new Doug Peterson offense. Trevor Lawrence underneath Doug Peterson, kind of you know spending time in his system. As they grow, they're going to get better.
Nah,
Trevor Lawrence is growing with these receivers. We know he played last year, but last year with Urban Meyer, and there
there was
was
so
a
much
whole bunch of
scrutiny.
controversy and all this stuff. Now Trevor Lawrence gets to settle in. Way less noise, way quieter in Jacksonville. I mean, last year at Jacksonville, they had almost, I don't want to say it was like New York media
Nah,
market, but it was a lot more going on. Like, they were always in the news. It's like everybody wanted to, put down the Jaguars and say how bad Urban Meyer was for whatever reason. I don't know
nah.
what the fascination was. But now, with Doug Peterson, they're able to kind of win some games. They're able to kind of build quietly and, string together some good football games. They're still not going to win much this year,
Nah.
but it all takes steps and time, and they're able to keep building on that and building towards the future. I'm sure if they can continue to draft well, develop their players well, they could be a team that in that division is they're always
It's
wide open.
always, yeah.
So they'll have a shot. We see every year teams go from last to first and all sorts of and anything in between. So the
Yeah.
Jags are certainly putting themselves in position to contend in that division with a young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence that's only seems to be continuing to get better and grow.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that the Jags can come away with just in general. I mean, outside of this game, I think Trevor Lawrence played great all year. He's been showing a lot of improvement, and the good thing about Trevor Lawrence is I don't think anybody ever questions his throwing ability, his ability to make some of these passes. I mean, last year we were watching some of these games, and it was like, wow, like this kid's potential is through the roof. Doug Peterson, I think, is the guy to kind of get that out of him. We've seen what he was able to do with the quarterbacks that he had, and what he was able to do with even Nick Foles once Carson Wentz kind of took a back seat. Plus, I mean, he knows what it's like to win a championship, so I think it's great that they're able to win games and kind of rebuild this culture and try to shape things out to work in their favor. So, with that being said, we're gonna get into our next game, the Chargers versus the Cardinals. Chargers came out on top, kind of in similar fashion. They won 25-24. Staley's gutsy calls paid off. And they were able to knock off the Cardinals. And I think the Cardinals are kind of not. I don't want to say they're in trouble, but the Cardinals definitely have a lot of questions to answer. So.
They're in a very strange spot. You have a guy in Kyler Murray there. You have, your solid receiver Hopkins back. You could kind of make excuses in the beginning of the year. Oh, we didn't have Hopkins. Well, now you have him. Division as a whole is not to the level that we thought it was going to be, but they're still struggling. It seems like there's animosity there between Kyler Murray and the coaching staff. I don't know what really is the issue. We know all the offseason drama with the contract and stuff like that. That seemed like that probably would have been more of a ownership, general manager type of an issue. But it seems maybe Kyler Murray just either doesn't have a good attitude or he's just kind of at odds with a lot of the people in the 49ers building or the Cardinals building. Yeah, I mean, look, it's crazy because the talent is clearly there. I mean, even that game, you see flashes of what Kyler Murray can do.
Yeah.
And, they lost this game really just because Justin Herbert is that great.
Yeah.
When you have a guy like Justin Herbert, this is what he's there for. He can single-handedly win you these close games when, he's able to perform like that. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't know. Kyler Murray hasn't. Have they won since Call of Duty came out? No, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, look, he clearly he has an issue with what he's focusing on. I mean, look, the guy's a millionaire. He can do what he wants in his time. But when you have your team counting on you and some things don't go your way, it's not all your fault. But you should be doing the most you can to put your team in better position. I don't know if, people in that building would say he is doing that. I mean, I'm not there every day, but it seems like with the animosity continuing to show, it seems like, maybe that's not the case. And he might be just checked out at this point a little bit. And maybe, either they need to figure out a way to reconcile or maybe get a new coach in there or maybe just move on from Kyler Murray. It's tough. I mean, I don't think you could move on from him with this contract now.
Paid,
yeah. So probably you need to change the coaching staff or you need to reconcile and make things better. But something has to change over there. They do have talent on that team, right? You have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins there that you put with Kyler Murray to be able to score these points. As a defense, they're somewhat inconsistent. They have some great players there. They have a lot of young guys on that team too, that still developing, especially in the linebacker level of their defense. So, it'll be something that interesting to see how they're going to navigate these waters. I don't know what their playoff odds are right now, but they're not too high. And with other teams, like kind of seems to be look, we're getting into that building to the playoffs mode where
teams in the hunt
kind of like teams in the hunt start to step up and it starts to be very physical football, right? And I don't know if the Cardinals are built for that kind of play. They're kind of a little bit more of a finesse team with Kyler at quarterback. And they got to find some way to step it up. I mean, for a team that was in first, just a year ago, they were in first place around this time before they started to decline. Now, I mean, maybe they could do the reverse. They could be bad up until this point and then be great. I don't know, but they got to get on the right page over there. And look, it's a waste of a year for Kyler Murray. It's a waste of a year for DeAndre Hopkins. It's a waste of a year for JJ Watt. I mean, a lot of waste going on in Arizona.
Yeah, it just seems there's so many questions in Arizona, and with Kyler, it's kind of odd because considering obviously we know what he's capable of and his talent level, the drop off is kind of concerning considering it's like he's not bad.
Yeah, and it's like I said, they lost this game because of Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
They actually didn't play a bad game, but it's just when you lose another game, right? Even if maybe you deserve to lose this game, let's if we want to put it that way, okay, they were supposed to lose this game, okay. But now where are the wins coming from? Because you had games that you were supposed to win and you didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is why talk like this gets brought up. It's hard to kind of pile on when you lose to Justin Herbert. I mean, he's Justin Herbert. But Kyler Murray is the type of talent that's in that category, but he's not always playing up to that level. And Justin Herbert doesn't always play up to the level that he played either. And the Chargers have their own problems, but
they were able to overcome it.
They were able to overcome it, and it seems like they're able to navigate these things a lot better than Kyler and the Cardinals are. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, moving on to the next game, we have their actual division rival in the 49ers. They versed the Saints. The 49ers it wasn't a crazy offensive game. 49ers came out on top 13-0. The Saints, again, another odd performance, no touchdowns. Just kind of it's just weird. It's their offense looks stale, and they just couldn't really get things going. 49ers kind of determined this game. Obviously, it's kind of hard. We talk about the 49ers often and how well they run the ball and how well their offenses ran, or actually their defenses ran. I mean, Fred Warner's a missile out there. Nick Bosa is just he has all the capabilities to be a defensive player of the year. So yeah, I mean, this game was kind of odd, and again, the Saints still struggle. So
yeah, this game didn't really surprise me. Look, the 49ers, one of the best defensive teams in the league. The Saints have been able to generate offense, surprisingly, with Andy Dalton, but I never considered them a great offensive team per se this year.
No.
I just feel like they've been able to find a way to do it, and that they're not a bad offensive team. But look, when you go against some of the best defense in the league and you have Andy Dalton as your quarterback,
it's tough to overcome.
Yeah, it's tough to overcome that and expect too much from them. And look, Nick Bosa's back and destroying people left and right. The defense showed up. We know the 49ers are going to control the ball and run the ball and do those type of things, eat up the time of possession. And that's exactly what they did. They won 13-0, but it was a dominant 13-0. No. After the game, everyone's talking about, is this, the best team in the NFC? That's how good they played on defense. And, like I said, I'm not super surprised that the 49ers dominated this game. I expected them to win. I picked them to win. And, the Saints, the Saints, luckily for the Saints, their division isn't that good. They still, get to try to get into the playoffs. Their main competition, the Bucks, I believe they play this upcoming week. So they'll be able to, make some things happen with that if they can. But yeah, look, the 49ers are rolling. They are continuing their ascension that they kind of started last year, where they, made a pretty nice playoff run. It looks like they're going to put themselves in position to be one of those higher seeds in the playoffs this year, and have a chance to really make a statement and see how far they can make it in the postseason. Their problem is just, look, they're a defensive team, and when things go bad, it's going to be hard for them to catch up. Yeah. But we've seen defensive teams win the whole thing before, right? And we know, like we just said a few minutes ago, this is the time of year where the defenses get to step up, make a statement, control the game, win the games for you. So, perfect timing for the 49ers. They're of course going to be looking to finish out strong and really dominate on the defensive side. And look, Jimmy G's been playing good too. Look, he's not putting out a crazy output. It's not like he's super lighting it up, but he's playing good football. He's making the right plays, and he's doing what he needs to do. He's perfect for this team where that's what he needs to do. Yeah. He makes big plays when he needs to. He does enough for them to win. And
team rallies around him too. So that's a huge plus.
It's the opposite of Kyler and the Cardinals, right? Their whole team seems to be one cohesive unit. You don't see too many issues. You don't have guys arguing with each other. They all lifting each other up. They're all happy to win. Yeah. They all believe they deserve it. and they all do their job. They come to work, they do their job, they work hard. If you're the 49ers, you're in great position, and you just look to continue what you're doing.
Nah. So with that being said, I think with all the 49ers success, I think we could get into our next subject with the coach of the year candidates. I think we can I think one of the coaches of the year that we could actually talk about is Kyle Shanahan. Um Also obviously we have Brian Dable, what he's been able to do in New York. It's been great to see the Giants come back and really turn around their entire culture. It's regardless of the outcome, I think we can all I think in the NFL, I think just like what Stephen A says about the Lakers, the NBA is better when the Lakers is better. I think the NFL is better when the Giants are better, when the Jets are better, and things like that. Also, we have O'Connell in Minnesota. He's been able to unlock something in Christian Kirk in Kirk Cousins, and they've been rolling. We have Sirianni in Philly. He's been getting Jalen Hurts to play at this high level, and just that entire team. And also McDaniels. McDaniels kind of there was a story actually that came out. I don't know if you saw it with he basically made or he got somebody, I'm sure, one of an intern or something. He got somebody to make like a 700 play tape of Tua and all the great plays he's made. And it's like that's what you do as a great coach to kind of get your players to believe in themselves. And it's like Tua even said it. He's like, yeah, there's been times last year where I was questioning myself, like, am I really that good? And I think that translates on the field. I think, sharks smell blood, sharks smell people. It sense when people are nervous. And in the NFL, defensive players are gonna sense that.
And not only just that, for whether they sense it or not,
Yeah.
as a quarterback, I mean, we talked a lot about this last week, and we've talked about this a lot, off camera.
Yeah.
As a quarterback, you need to make take your drop back, read the defense, throw the ball, get it out of there.
Right.
If you're holding on to this ball in the NFL, you're gonna get killed. Right. Exactly. And he's been able to this year be decisive and make good decisions with the football.
100%.
And it's all coming. You could see how it's working when you look at Tyreek Hill's numbers, when you look at Jalen Waddle's numbers. They're two of the best receivers in the league putting up yards this year because Tua is able to make the right reads. He's confident and he's decisive when he's throwing the football. So and these things that you're talking about, Mike McDaniel putting together this whole tape to kind of one, build to his confidence, but also that shows you your coach is invested in you. He believes in you. He wants you to win. Now you can trust him, right? Where maybe that trust wasn't the same last year under Brian Flores, right? And obviously, look, as a coach, you need that relationship with your quarterback. It's clear, like you said, Kevin O'Connell, he must have unlocked something with Kirk Cousins. I'm sure their relationship is good. O'Connell certainly has been able to put Kirk Cousins in positions that he's comfortable in to be able to win these games and to be able to put up these yards and to be able to connect consistently with a receiver like Justin Jefferson, who we know they're always rolling coverage to his side and double coverage on him. They're still able to scheme and find him and, being able to put Kirk Cousins in position to make the throws for him to succeed. So, look, these things are important. Dable, the other guy you mentioned, clear, he's liked by the team. The team rallies around him. You see them all celebrating. You see Dable celebrating like a player. Yeah. A lot of these guys, when they make Coach of the Year, it's not just the games that they win, but also how they connect with the players and how that translates on the field. Sirianni, like you mentioned, really doing a great job with the Eagles. Look, NFC East as a whole doing great. Ron Rivera is another guy. He's like kind of getting into that conversation now, right? We'll talk about their matchup, the Commanders with the Giants coming up, but they're putting themselves in position to make a run at the playoffs. Yeah. And look, if he finishes this season strong, he's going to be right there in the mix with these guys. So a lot of coaches up for Coach of the Year here. It'll obviously come down to the wire with the last few games, but some of these guys really turning their teams around. One, by scheme, obviously you need your scheme to be effective, but two,
Right.
just by building relationships and building team confidence, camaraderie, and really have their teams playing well on all sides of the ball.
Yeah, and I think I think another, I mean, obviously Pete Carroll has shown excellence throughout his entire career in college football and in the NFL, but I think he's definitely a respectable candidate. What he's been able to do with Geno, the rookie class that he was able to get in, and how substantial their defense is playing. They're firing on all cylinders, so I think that's also another great honorable mention. What I will say is with this award, I think if I was to give it out now, I'd definitely give it out to Dable, being that, the obviously McDaniels, he's been able to kind of turn around to his career a little bit. Uh we've seen all the other coaches that we've just went over, but with Dable, a lot of the situations that he's been in, he's been able to stick to his guns and it paid off. Like where, earlier on in the Tennessee game, he well, not early on, it was later on, he went for two. They got a statement win. He was able to get a statement win against the Packers. And overall, I don't think he has the best personnel. A lot of these teams that we're talking about, the personnel that they have, I mean, we've talked about with McDaniels, he has Tyreek Hill, he has Raheem Mostert, he has, now he has Jeff Wilson Jr., and obviously Jalen Waddle. So the talent is there, and there's a lot more to work with. Whereas, Dable, I mean, outside of Saquon Barkley, there's I mean, you have Kenny Galladay. They haven't really been able to get him too involved. Daniel Jones, there's a lot of questions with him, but it seems like he's been able to build his confidence up throughout the year. So I think that's an interesting thing. But I would go with Dable as my coach of the year just for now. I mean, that could always change with all the circumstances, but so yeah, so I mean, the next topic that we're gonna get into is the MVP candidates. Obviously we have the Pat Mahomes who's playing lights out as always. It seems like Jalen Hurts, he's been able to turn it around. There's been a lot of doubts with his play. With if is he able to continue to do well? Is he really there? Is he really the Eagles quarterback? And it seems like this year he kind of stamped that. Like I'm here. I'm a good quarterback in this league, if not one of the top quarterbacks. Josh Allen. I mean, there's times where you see Josh Allen just fling the ball and just make crazy plays. Derrick Henry, obviously, he's been playing great, and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's been kind of the Browns' offense and that heartbeat of that offense. So, just as far as the MVP candidates, what's kind of your thoughts on the NFL MVP in general?
Yeah, look, all the guys you said have been, playing exceptionally well this year. Some of them not so much as a surprise. I mean, Mahomes, of course, he's always playing good. Derrick Henry, when he's healthy, that guy's a monster. No surprise there. Josh Allen, another one. We knew he was gonna ball out this year, and he's not disappointed. But yeah, I mean, some surprises are definitely Jalen Hurts and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, look, we know he's great. We didn't know how the season was going to go. We know they got Deshaun Watson. He's actually coming back this week. But, they had Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback. Like you said, Chubb has kind of been the guy who's been the heartbeat of that team, that offense, leading them to victory, certainly keeping them in the hunt for when they have Deshaun Watson back. And, he's the reason why people like Amari Cooper on that team are able to get the touches and the yards that he gets in the games that he gets them, because teams have to key in so much on Nick Chubb because
Right.
he's such a weapon on the ground. And then Jalen Hurts just leading his team. I mean, undefeated for a while. Now they are, still one of the best teams in the NFL after, picking up the loss and all that. But yeah, really just clicking on all cylinders, that team. They're kind of going as Jalen Hurts goes. I like all the guys on the list. I think right now it's hard not to give it to Mahomes, even though that's kind of the easy answer.
The
But it's the easy answer, not just because of what he's done in the past, but this year. I mean, as a team and as a player, Mahomes has just been lining up. I don't really see anybody able to kind of take that away from him. I think if, for instance, the Eagles were able to go undefeated or something like that, I think you might have to give the MVP to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But overall, I think Mahomes' play has been on another level. I don't think any of the guys in the NFL are quite putting out the same output that he is. And plus he has the flair factor where he's making these spectacular plays and flipping balls to this guy and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I think Mahomes is the answer here. But as we said with the coaching coach of the year award, there's still a lot of football left to be played, and there'll be some guys who have a chance to kind of put themselves in conversation here. The guys that we talked about certainly have a case to make a push. And there's probably a handful of other guys that we didn't talk about that, depending on how things go, they could, put themselves in the conversation. But I think as of right now, Mahomes is the clear front runner,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's his award to lose. To be honest, if he just keeps up the play, the Chiefs keep winning, and he keeps putting up the same numbers he has, he's pretty much got that award locked up.
Yeah, for sure, and especially considering he's lost Tyreek Hill, he
Hmm.
hasn't missed a step. He's getting everybody involved. He's just playing great quarterback. Um, there's just great quarterback play in Kansas City. So, with that being said, we're gonna jump into our weekly preview. We have our first game that we're gonna get into: the 49ers versus the Dolphins. The 49ers are the -3.5 favorite. I believe it's because they're at home. Josh McDaniels going back home, going back to play face or not Josh McDaniels, Mike McDaniels. He's going back to face his former team that he was coaching with, and this will be an interesting game to see because I think I feel like the Dolphins can put up a lot of points, and they show that they can be explosive offensively, and I don't know if the 49ers can keep up with that. So
Yeah, this is a fun matchup. Like you said, Mike McDaniel facing his former team, but this is kind of you know, the rock when a rock meets a hard place, right?
yeah,
Dolphins have been on a tear lately. They had their struggles with the whole Tua concussion incidents that were happening, but when Tua's in there, he's lighting it up now, and
yeah,
the offense is clicking. They got two of the leading receivers in the NFL when it comes to yardage, and you go in against the best pass defense in the league right now with the 49ers. Solid defense all around. You have Nick Bosa back. He's playing well again. Jimmy G is making plays like we talked about earlier. It's a very, very fun matchup to see which style of football is going to prevail, or if one of these teams can get the job done playing the other team's game, if you will. So, yeah, to me, this is probably my matchup that I'm looking forward the most this week, just because it'll tell us a lot about this matchup is going to tell us a lot about both of these teams,
yeah.
and probably where their ceiling is in terms of how far they can make it on their playoff run this year.
Yeah, yeah, this will be an interesting. Just like you said, I mean, I mean, a great defense versus a great offense, and then nonetheless a great pass offense against a great pass defense. We've seen matchups like this in the past, and they've been interesting nonetheless to see. So, I mean, I think this will be a great game to watch on Sunday, and I'm sure a lot of people will be tuned in. So the next game that we have to preview is an AFC rematch from last year. The Chiefs going to the Bengals. The Chiefs are the -2 favorite right now versus the Bengals, and it'll be interesting to see. I think the Chiefs kind of want to get back at the Bengals for what they did last year and in that AFC Championship game, and it'll be interesting to see what's the outcome of this situation. Being that I mean the Chiefs are hot right now, Bengals they're not exactly playing their best football, and I mean they're playing good enough. So I mean this will be a nice game to see. I mean Joe Burrow versus Pat Mahomes. I think that's anybody wants to see that. So
Yeah, I mean, like you said, solid matchup. Two great quarterbacks going at it. We have Jamar Chase return coming.
Oh, is it?
He mentioned actually today that he was probably good to go last week. They kind of held him out just as a precaution. That and now he's 100% ready to go for this week. So we're gonna have Jamar Chase back. Could be a potentially very fun game to watch if both offenses could get rolling and put up a bunch of points. So yeah, a fun matchup. Chiefs favorite even on the road here with the way that they're playing. It's hard to argue with that. But you know, -2.5 favorites. So obviously they expect this to be a close one. The Bengals do have the home field advantage. Vegas knows that Jamar Chase is coming back, who, of course, you know, Joe Burrow's favorite target. And I expect the Chiefs to keep up the same level of play they've been having. But I think this is a matchup where the Bengals should be able to keep it close at home. I'm sure they'll have something to say about it, put up their own, their own offensive firepower, try to keep up. And this could be one of those close games that comes down to the last drive. It might be one of those situations where, who has the ball last. I could see this being a situation where Joe Burrow comes up clutch in the end at home. It could also
Yeah.
be one of those situations where, you know, the Bengals score with a minute 12 seconds left, and then
And
the
leave it
Chiefs
for
roll down the field for like a touchdown field goal to win the game type of thing. So either way, should be fun to watch. And hopefully, you know, the game is a close game like Vegas is predicting to see some things happen late in this game.
Yeah. So the next game that we're gonna get into is the Titans versus the Eagles. The Eagles are at home. They're the -5.5 favorite. My thoughts on this game is kind of, I believe the Titans can beat the Eagles. We've seen, I mean, even last week, I mean, the game was not that close, but I think the Packers could have beat them. But again, the Titans, I believe they do have what it takes to beat the Eagles. The Eagles, they do show some weaknesses in their game. So I'm gonna roll with the Titans. I think the Eagles cooled down a little bit. The Titans have been playing pretty solid football. I mean, last week they came off of a tough loss against the Bengals. Um, so yeah, I think they go on the road with a statement win and upset the Eagles. So what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Look, the Eagles have been playing well. All around, offensively and defensively. The past few weeks, though, they've slowed down a bit, and we've seen them kind of come back to earth. They've been able to still win some of these games, but they've been close games, right? We saw the Eagles have a little trouble with the Colts. They ended up coming out with a win in the late game situation. The Titans have the type of style that's difficult for most teams to keep up with.
Right.
They run the ball down your throat with Derrick Henry. They control the clock. They play good defense. Um, I certainly I can see the Titans keeping this a close game and kind of just stealing this one from the Eagles. Um, you know, the Eagles, they were able to kind of blow some teams out earlier on. We saw what they did to like the Vikings, for instance.
Right.
Um, but yeah, like I said, as of late, they've been having trouble. They closer game than they probably wanted against the Texans, the Colts game, the Packers. They won by a decent amount against the Packers, but that's after Aaron Rodgers got pulled out of there.
Right.
And like I said, with Derrick Henry, he's such a weapon. It's going to be hard for the Eagles to contain him. I like you said, I like the Titans to keep it close. I mean, Eagles -5.5. I don't know if I pick the Titans outright to win. I certainly think they have a shot, but I'll take the points and play it safe and probably roll with them when it comes to which line I would take.
Yeah, for sure. So the next segment that we're gonna get into is our best bets for the NFL segment. So the first game we got is the Jets versus Vikings. Vikings are the -3 favorite. I don't think this is me. I don't think it's the best bet, but I'm gonna roll with the Jets. I'm
Mhm.
gonna roll with Mike White. I think he played great last week. I'm not a Jets fan, so I'm not as optimistic as them. But hey man, I believe in Mike White, and I think the Vikings they they have these weird games where it's just like, and on top of that, it's like the Jets play great defense.
Yeah.
It's just the questions is really how their quarterback really plays out. So
I'll go the complete opposite way. I'll take the Vikings -3. You tell me the Vikings are only 3-point favorites in a game where they just coming off a quarterback controversy. They couldn't score any points against the Patriots. They put in Mike White, and now all of a sudden he's supposed to have some magic and have them win a bunch of games. Look, the Jets are a pretty solid team this year. It's actually kind of funny that they have such a quarterback controversy when their team has been so bad for years,
yeah,
and they are sitting on a pretty good record. And then, Zach Wilson has a bad game. And look, granted, they had tons of struggles, and they're right for not being happy about how the game shaped out.
right.
To completely can the guy, go for the backup, a young quarterback that you spend a lot, high draft capital on.
Yeah,
You go for the backup. Now the backup, has a great game, and now you're gonna have to play this guy,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So what if Zach Wilson did the same thing last week, but he didn't get the chance to? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So now you're stuck with Mike White. I don't know. Do people legitimately see Mike White as their future quarterback? I don't think so. So you look, I'll take the Vikings, who have been playing very well against everybody this year. I mean, besides the Eagles, who demolished them.
Yeah.
But that was a night game, and we know the lights.
Lights are too bright for Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. A game against the Jets, nobody's even watching. Just really Vikings and Jets fans. It's not going to be a game that draws, and it's going to be put in like a national TV spot here. So I like the Vikings to get the job done. Tell me -3 is the point spread. I'll take that all day. I think Justin Jefferson is going to get his. He's consistently getting 80+ yards a game. Kirk Cousins is going to find them. They're going to be able to put up yards. Dalvin Cook is going to get his, and they're going to roll to another win against a Jets team who having plenty of problems. Not to mention the Vikings are at home here, so 3-point favorite over a not a historically great team at home. I love the Vikings in this spot.
Go with the Jets, man. Jets, Jets. Sauce Gardner, he's gonna lock up Justin Jefferson. I said it. I said, hey man, I said, watch. Justin Jefferson is gonna get clamped up by the Cowboys. And what happened?
Well, I don't look. The Cowboys did their thing on defense.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even that. It was just the Cowboys.
I don't think the Jets have anywhere near the pass rush that the
course.
Cowboys have, and they certainly don't have anything near what a Micah Parsons is.
Yeah.
So good luck to the Jets if they think they're going to replicate that.
So the next game in our best bet segment is the Giants +1.5 versus the Commanders. I like this bet. I think the Giants +1.5. I'll take the points for sure. I honestly think the Giants would win this outright. I think obviously the only thing that's really in Washington's favor is that they're at home, and they do tend to play very well against the Giants. But I think the Giants are gonna get rolling. I think their run offense is gonna get going, and I think they'll be able to take care of business.
Yeah. The Giants, they I like them here. They are on the road, and the tough part about this game is the Commanders have been playing great football as of late.
Yeah.
I still do like the Giants here. It's kind of a similar situation with the Jets with Heineke. Heineke's, I think, is a better long-term play at quarterback than Mike White is. I don't know. I couldn't tell you if Mike White's going to finish the year. I don't think so. I think they're going to struggle again at some point. Might be this week against the Vikings, but the quarterback is going to have some trouble again at some point this season, and they're going to end up back with Zach Wilson. With the Commanders, you have Heineke. He's probably going to be their guy almost no matter what happens for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And look, they've been playing pretty well, and I don't think anybody really wants to see the Commanders right now. It's almost funny to say that, but I think they're in a position where they're a team that a lot of teams would avoid right now because, they just been playing great football, and you're going to be expected to beat that team, and they have a shot at beating just about anybody.
Yeah, they're solid for sure.
But, the Giants, I like the way they started the year. I think they've stumbled a bit as of late, but I do like them to get back on track. We know these divisional games are, they're a toss-up for anybody. I think Dable and his toughness and having the guys ready to play, they're going to be up for this game. against a division rival, and I think they're going to be able to come out with a win here. So yeah, I'll take the +1.5 and roll with the Giants.
Yeah. So our next game and our last game, we have the Saints versus the Bucks. The Saints are they're the underdog +5.5 versus the Bucks at home. The Bucks have shown some struggle. They just came off of a loss last week against the Browns in OT. Tough loss for them. And the Saints, they obviously came off of a tough loss where they dropped a goose egg against the 49ers. So I think the Saints kind of want to get back at that and try to want to get back on track. So I'm with you on this one. I think I'm going to take the points. Saints +5.5. I think they, these divisional games between the Saints and the Bucks are always kind of close. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints 5.5 for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, these games are close between these two teams. Both teams coming off hard losses. If I'm going to pick how I think this game is going to go, I think the Bucks have a decent chance to win this game, but it's far from guaranteed. The Saints could easily just blow them out. That's kind of how this game goes sometimes.
Nah.
But yeah, I'll take the points. I think if the Bucks win, there's a good chance they win only by a few points, and the Saints cover the spread. So I love the Saints to cover here, and yeah, be able to kind of find a little bit of that rhythm with Andy Dalton, Chris Olave, the rest of that offense. Be able to get some points on the board, keep it close enough, and maybe they get out with a win, maybe not, but I think they, like I said, they should cover that 5.5 point spread.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll be nice to see Chris Olave kind of get on track again. I think he scored last year, or not last year, last week. No, he didn't score last week, but
So
yeah, the week before I believe he
yeah.
did. But it'll be nice to see him get back on track. So, with that being said, we're gonna wrap this thing up. We'll be back with you guys next week for episode 14. Obviously, a lot more football to be played and a lot more football to be talked about. So, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and be sure to subscribe.